well within the first hour of Good Morning Kenya. Welcome back to the program. My name is Migwi. This is Eye on Politics. A lot has happened over the weekend, including the President Ruto's visit to the mountain that has been carried out in our news, and also matters to do with the building that collapsed in Karen, killing 2 people and injuring several others. And today is when grade 10 students are going back to school. Now, over the past 1 week or so, there has been a debate generated by the comments raised by the former Deputy President Gachagua regarding the placement, fair placement of grade 10 students who are actually supposed to report today to their senior school. That has generated a lot of debate and also has attracted responses even from the president. That is going to form our basis of our conversation today, because we're talking about politics of accountability, politics, leadership and accountability. That is what we are going to talk about today. But before we go into that conversation, in studio I'm joined by my guests. One of them is Dr. Billy J. Omeno Sibuor, who is a political analyst. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you, Migwi.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
January nakupeleka aje?
Iko poa.
Yes, kabisa. Yes. All right, and also David Alulu, who is an economist and political analyst. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Mike.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yes.
You're looking with an eye of suspicion. Is everything okay?
Over the holidays, I waited for a call. Kuja tukule mbuzi.
Actually, I've been looking forward to that. So, since you have brought it up,
yes,
we need to talk.
We need to talk.
We need to have a very serious conversation. You might attend.
We shall have that once we have this conversation. And we are also expecting to have Innocent Musumbi, who is a political analyst, and His Excellency Francis Mwangangi, who is the Deputy Governor of Machakos County. But before we get to that, let me take you through what is making headlines in our local dailies, and I will start with what is being reported on the front page of the Star newspaper. Poor diets take 400 billion shillings toll on Kenya's economy. That story is told on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. Malnutrition reduces physical strength and mental capacity. That is a story you will read in detail on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. You cannot dislodge me in Mount Kenya, Ruto tells Gachagua. That is a comment that he made yesterday in Nyeri, because he is on a 3 days tour of Nyeri County. Read that story on page 9 of the Star newspaper. Law and medicine, the preferred courses for KCSE top performers. That story is told on page 2 of the Star newspaper. Byron Osiro, innovations must be supported by solid infrastructure. Read more on that story on page 6 of the Star newspaper. Agnes Jabet wins World Cross Country title in Florida. Read, this is what that photo is displayed here on the front page of the Star newspaper. Let's move over to the Daily Nation. Why we won't be joining grade 10. As thousands of students report to their new schools today, a different reality confronts many of their peers across the country. Despite excelling in the Kenya Junior School Education Assessment, they now face a painful truth. Their academic success may not lead to progression to senior school because their families cannot afford school fees. That story is told on page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation. ODM convenes a meeting amid Oburu ouster plot. The political infighting within the ODM has escalated, with the party set for a critical crisis meeting amid an alleged plot to oust Siaya Senator Oburu Oginga as the party leader. The ongoing tough wars have forced the party's top organ to retreat to the coast today for a meeting that could either calm the simmering tension or intensify them. ahead of the 2027 elections. That story is told on page 6 of the Daily Nation. Kenya keeps the overall title, but rivals closing gap. Kenya topped the medal standing for the third consecutive time at the World Athletics Cross Country Championships in Florida, US, but there was a marked decline. That story is told in detail on page 38 of the Daily Nation. Ruto to Mount Kenya voters: I will not abandon you. President William Ruto has assured residents of the politically restive Mount Kenya region that he would not abandon them as he seeks re-election in 2027, recalling their decisive role in his 2022 general election victory. Dr. Ruto said his relationship with Mount Kenya is built on firm foundation anchored in a shared transformation agenda. That story is told on page 10 of the Daily Nation. Let's move over to the Standard and see what is being reported on the front page. Junet's rough ride. This is what is captured here. As the country gradually gets used to referring to the country's most vibrant politician in past tense, the after effects of Raila Odinga's demise in October last year are turning into a nightmare for some who appear to have a hang on onto his coattails to make a political career through ODM. National Assembly Minority Leader Junet Mohammed continues to be hit by a myriad of accusations, from never winning any nominations in Migwi to using his closeness with Baba to cause problems for others as some revive old quarrels. That story is told on page 4 of the Standard newspaper. Basically, that is what has been captured in our local dailies. And yeah, and I want us to get into a conversation. And His Excellency Francis Mwangangi has joined us. Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year.
How are you doing?
Good.
January inakupelekaje?
It's good.
Yes, welcome to Good Morning Kenya, and I'll also be introducing Innocent Musumbi in just a little while. You know, there's a conversation that emanated from the comments, as I had alluded to, the comments that were made by the former Deputy President regarding Gachagua, regarding placement of grade 10 students in senior school. And that has brought a lot of debate regarding those comments. But then again, beyond the politics, beyond the emotions, are the issues raised real when it comes to leadership, accountability, and whether those in power are willing to take responsibility for a system that is going on, and the things that Kenyans are facing? Are they really going to take up responsibility and deliver the development that is needed in those areas? Now, I will start this with you, Dr. Sibuor. When you look at those remarks, do they force a conversation that calls for thinking about accountability and taking responsibility in leadership?
Okay, thank you, Mike, for inviting me here. First of all, I will start by saying hi to great people of Moroni, and I believe they are well wherever they are. Back to the conversation today. On my opinion, I don't think it's a big issue to look at now, because we are not doing KCSE for the first time. Mm-hmm. And schools have been existing. Mm-hmm. And we have categories of schools everywhere. We have the national schools all the way to Arambe schools. Mm-hmm. Then if the student has been placed in a national school, mm-hmm. I believe there are facilities in those places. Mm-hmm. And a good student will always perform, mm-hmm. Based on on the facilities that are around there. So that conversation now, I don't think it has a lot of weight, because this is not the first time we are placing them there. I believe that there's some schools that are disadvantaged, yes. For example, the ASAL areas. But it doesn't warrant a discussion much, because this is a process that has been going on all along. Yes.
But then again, you look at the remarks saying that students from areas within which the national schools are hosted should be given priorities, as opposed to, should also not miss slots within those schools, as opposed to being sent to schools that are far away, because maybe their parents have contributed to the growth of that school. What do you make of that?
If there are some mishaps, then those mishaps should be corrected. For example, if you deserve a national school and you didn't get a place there, then that is an issue that should be addressed amicably. But zoning or saying that there's some areas that are having, for example, the students from, maybe pupils from Mount Kenya should be maintained there, I don't think that one is good, because we are Kenyans, and we also need to explore all parts of the country. So, and as I said earlier, this is not the first time we are doing KCSE.
Yes.
So it is a process that has been going on, and it has never brought any debate. But if there is some mishaps or some error to be corrected, that one, it should be done. And for example, right now, there is a window whereby students or pupils are allowed to change based on their choices. So that one can be easily corrected in the best way possible. Yes.
Yeah, we are also joined by Innocent Musumbi, who is a political analyst. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you so much, Migwi.
Yes.
And a happy new year to our viewers.
Yes.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to be here, to be able to discuss topical issues affecting our people.
Yes.
Thank you.
And in that regard, actually, me through this to you, are we bringing unnecessary politics to education?
Yeah, well, my opinion on this matter is that I think we Kenyans, we love politics a lot. We like politicizing everything. And to me, getting to the context of this matter is that we need to look at these remarks exactly far from politics. What exactly was the former deputy president really talking about? And you'll realize there is the issue of equity in the country.
Yes.
And also, is there any form of laxity in the part of some of our leaders? And are we developing this country to have a situation whereby the whole country is moving together, is moving at the same level? Because when we look at the national schools and where the grade 10 children, how they are being placed, we will realize that there are some regions in this country where they have well-developed infrastructure in terms of schools compared to others. And there is a lot of sense when a leader talks about, because, you know, leadership and politics is all about ensuring your people are getting the limited resources that are there. And when a leader raises an issue whereby parents from a certain region who possibly have contributed to ensure that institutions in their area are of good quality, their children are being sent to faraway schools. Because you see, there's an issue of cost here. And you are leaving a good school in your village to go like 500 kilometers or 200 kilometers away to get another school, which is okay because these are national schools, and Kenya we are one country. But again, you ask yourself, so why is a student in Kikuyu village who is qualified to join Alliance Boys High School being why is he going to another school in maybe, in northern Kenya or western Kenya, maybe a national school, but doesn't have the same facilities that Alliance in the village has. So we need to have a discussion. How can we have a situation whereby all our schools in the country have the same level of infrastructure and equipment, all those things, so that even if I am from Kikuyu village, a neighbor to Alliance Boys High School, I am comfortable going to Garissa Boys High School. So that is the kind of situation we should be discussing, other than politicizing the whole issue, bringing about some tribal epithets. I don't think it is important. Let us understand, why do we have some schools in a particular area not well developed as others? For example, let's contextualize in the northeastern Kenya. Yes. Why are the schools not very well developed, like the schools in Nairobi or elsewhere? While we have had devolution for the last 13 years, we have had NG-CDF for the last many years, and we have had affirmative action to these areas for the last many years. Why are we not having schools getting to, if not the same level, because Alliance Boys is an old school, why are we not getting a situation whereby these schools are at least at a level whereby we can, because some of these schools doesn't have basic infrastructure, laboratories, they don't have them. So you find there is a lot of sense in the remarks that were given, because a person in Nairobi being admitted in a school in northeastern where the facilities leaves a lot to be desired is, of course, quite disadvantaged. Yeah.
Bwana DG, what do you make of, first of all, of the remarks, and do they warrant a serious conversation regarding development in the country?
Sometimes back, when I served in National Assembly, the period I was there, I think through an investigative arm of the government, actually I remember it was an headline that a section of us, the sitting members of parliament, and I'm saying this with ultimate faith and respect to institutions, it flashed an headline. Actually it was almost in the three leading media, the print media, that some of us had earned millions in fake claims. It brought a lot of discussions. When it was the government moved in to prove some of these things, obviously because we do not want to be painted in the wrong way, at the end the investigation came, and it was like some members within a certain radius are never paid in this kilometer mileage. They are never paid, while others were pocketing millions of shillings. And yet they were not living in Nairobi. They were just here, but they were being paid for claims that they come from far-flung areas. We also followed that up. That report also unearthed something else, that even the government audits are not done properly in some areas simply because of insecurity, perceived insecurity. Now, why am I bringing this story and your question and the issue we are discussing this morning of the second Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya sentiments? Is because as much as we used to say some areas are well developed, others are not, the country, in our own wisdom and through the Constitution, brought Equalization Fund. Still, the country, in a way to bring affirmative, brought GAF. The country also saw it fit to bring devolution although it is something that is dying under this administration. And with all this, we expect, and actually something else, the third president's administration tried to bring, to ensure there are 2 national schools in each county. So now, the question of the sentiments made by this particular leader, I think they are valid. They call upon more transparency and accountability. And why am I saying this? Because of the following. One, we are not talking about students who did Form 4. We are talking about pupils who did their Standard 8 and are supposed to go to junior secondary schools. We know the economic situation in this country. Maybe some of us who are busy looting and eating don't understand the suffering of Kenyans. When you see a very young person, a girl or a boy, who is also maybe was supported through education system by even Arambes, being sent far away, what happens to such a kid? You are expecting the community again to go fundraise, take that student to that far area, go rent a room somewhere, look at the age of this student. What are we doing as a country? Those are some of the things we need to address, not to look at the politics in the sentiments. Because I think those who chased Rigathi Gachagua away are trying to look at every opportunity to prove why they chased him away. And then I think in the course of doing that, please let's not destroy the future of this country by destroying millions of the young generation. So I agree, it calls us to be more accountable. It calls us to also want to understand these billions, whether, and let's not discuss devolution in education, because education is not devolved to, yes. But in NGCDF, where I also served, in also GAF and other government, and also equalization, how are we using some of these money, billions, in some areas? Because we want, if it is national schools, the word national school, what entails a national school? Does what Alliance, for example, has, is it the same as what Gabaltura has? Is it what the Star of the Sea in Mombasa has? We want an equity level play so that anybody going to national school within Nairobi or within central Kenya is the same as anybody else who goes anywhere. And by the way, there is also something else. Yesterday I saw a clip of news in a school in a Kato Lasrin area, which is a day school which does not even have a laboratory. And the school performed so well. Almost 3/4 of the students are now going to join universities. So I think we need fairness, and we need to be accountable, and we need to follow up. Yes. To follow up so that the millions, the taxpayers' money being dispersed to every corner of this country goes to develop the country and not to develop our stomachs.
Indeed. We are going to come back to this conversation because there's something you've said about following up, and how do we do that? That is a question that we shall be addressing once we come back from this short break. Stay with us. You're still watching Good Morning Kenya. This is Eye on Politics, and we are talking about what has to do with politics, leadership and accountability, especially given the fact that there were some sentiments raised by the former Deputy President regarding the school placement for senior school students, especially when it comes to placement in national schools. David Alulu, I want to get your sentiments first on this, and also there's something that DG said, and I want you to comment on it about following up on these accountability issues. The floor is yours.
Asante sana. I think generally we should agree that the Kenyan education system has a problem. We should start from that. Why would I say the Kenyan education system has a problem? Let's start from the case of the placement that just happened, where we've had a lot of challenges affecting children. If, like DG says, you would place a child from Kajiado to Machakos County day school, and you have any proper arrangement on what happens, because if you placed a child in Machakos and the parents are living in Kajiado, it means you are telling the parents either to move to Machakos or to rent a place for this young man, 15, 16 years old. Then you are now exposing them to some sort of danger out there. But even that notwithstanding, the utterances that came from the former Deputy President, they are both positive and negative. Let me comment first on the positive.
Yes.
Positive because I think it's about time that we had a serious national conversation on how resources are distributed across the country. That is one. And then two, as the DG says, there need to be a serious accountability on the resources that are distributed across the country through the NGCDF, because unlike what we would say before, we had the distribution of equal distribution of NGCDF. Now we have sufficient resources cutting across the 290 constituencies, but then there are some areas where it seems like the NGCDF is working more effectively than some areas. So we need to have a serious conversation and ask a question. Is it even tenable to continue giving resources for education through NGCDF, yet we have some areas who hardly have, leave alone even a national school. Even a C4 as rated right now in those constituencies are working under pathetic conditions. So we need to have this conversation and agree that as a nation, we need to have a serious and urgent conversation on how to upgrade the education system and how to facilitate them. So when we follow that in the positive side of it, I want to believe that Rigiji means that before you even start thinking of going for these well-doing national schools in the country, can we find out how well and how urgent can we upgrade other national schools across the country, so that if a child from Kiambu County, for example, was sent to Busia County or was sent somewhere in Bungoma, they would still feel proud because they are going to an institution that is similar to what they left back home. I would say negative sentiments when we now bring in ethnicity, when we say watoto wetu wa hapa wasipelekwe kwengine na watoto wengine waletwe hapa, because now all the children in Kenya are Kenyan children. We share the same birth certificate, we share the same national examination certificates, and all the national documentations that we have are given by the same country. So all the children of Kenya, a child from somewhere in Cheptulu, Hamisi constituency where I come from, has equal rights with a child from somewhere in Kingongo in Nyeri County. Every one of these children has a right, and they should be given access to these institutions if the resources they have and that allocated by the government permits it to move forward and facilitate for their education. So I think much as it is good for leaders to advocate for their regions and the people they support, it is also good for leaders to know that every child, both in far-flanked areas and those in urban areas, they have the right to access education equally across the board. They have the right to feel the good institutions and facilities given to any other child in the country. Because look at the just concluded and released KCSE results. Yes. You'd realize that we have the same examination paper being competed across the country. Some of the schools don't have even a laboratory. That literally schools have to go into another school to use the laboratory facilities for another school for the same examination. That now I am sitting in a school where we have a 24-hour accessible laboratory, and then there is another school which can only access this once in a term or once in a month, which now becomes unfair. So we need to really agree that these resources, somebody needs to do something about it. And I think the government of Kenya, to some extent, hasn't invested more in education sector. I feel like the government needs to up its game on how they deal with the matters education, because in any developing nation, education is a backbone. Education is key. And so we cannot give some good education, others better, others just education. We need to have what cuts across and everybody feels part of it. Yes. Resource accountability is very key. Very, very key to an extent that we need to know, the ministry need to come out and tell us, in this area, we have provided sufficient resources to advance the resources and the institutions of national and extra county and even the C4 schools. We have given it cutting across the country. And then with that, we would now ask a question. If Alliance High has the same resources as Chavakali boys in Vihiga, then why is it that Chavakali is not doing well as Alliance is doing? Because we need to have this conversation, but then the government should put in sufficient resources, and perhaps we should now start looking at whether NGCDF is effective, especially in areas of education, or it is just helping some leaders to enjoy themselves and feel like they are small gods in their region. So I think that is the conversation we should have. Resources allocation and equal distribution. I heard one leader saying that some of these countries have been receiving a lot of, it is called equalization fund or something of that kind. They said counties like in northeastern region have gotten resources, massive resources. But then the question then would be, if there are these massive resources, where are they going? Who is following it up? At what point do we get to know that, for example, Marsabit has gotten 10 billion, and out of the 10 billion, how much is going to education sector? How much is going to health sector? And who is supposed to follow it up? Because we are now used to a nation where resources are given, and the next report you get to hear is that funds have been looted. Resources cannot be accounted for, and then the politicians will start saying the government is after us, maybe because we are not supporting the government. You know, Kenya has mastered an art where if there is corruption in your county and somebody speaks about it, they say they are pursuing us politically because we are not supporting them. Should we mix politics with the national resources? The answer is a big no. Yes,
indeed. Sibuor, when you look at the issues that have been raised, can you see that in some way there are some aspect of laxity in leadership when you look at the issues that we are talking about, and especially one important matter that is education?
Thank you, Mike, for that. First of all, I have to say that these are pioneer students. They're the first lot to senior school from grade 9 to 10 to senior school. So as usual, we normally have, for the first time, we don't get it right. It's always. Sometimes we expect a lot of mishaps or a lot of issues, which is common. because they are the students who are testing a new system. Remember, I will side with the government that a lot is being done in terms of changing the education system, and that's why the CBC comes in to replace the 844, which is a very good move. And again, I have to concur with my colleagues that accountability is a problem. Not only education, but even other sectors. Because we have systems that are having a lot of porous, the holes, whereby there is no accountability. If you look at the system now, for example, if you look at the fee structure, what is indicated there is not what the parents pay, for example. And who follows this? Because, for example, fee will be indicated 53 annually. But then there's some development, there are some very small fee that add up to over 20,000. Who follows this? Because the person who is suffering is the parent, or the guardian. Remember, these are Kenyans. And remember, these things can be done. I believe CBC will be different from the current system. Because right now, I think they are restructuring. And I believe it will work for students and for the general population. But like DG said, accountability. And remember, in terms of governance, people are different. The way you may be earning the same, like me, the same organization. But now I progress or I do better than you. It's the same way the governance in every region is totally different. And that's why the oversight must be done well, and structures must be put in place so that these loopholes can be dealt with, so that we don't get parents suffering, or some people are not getting their fair share or their rightful opportunities.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Performance can never be the same. Innocent, you know, you look at the response that was given towards those sentiments, and it raises the question, isn't leadership about fixing what is broken rather than responding to the sentiment from an angry point of view?
Exactly. Yeah, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, Kenyans, we like, I think we love politics. Yeah, we love that kind of, you know, throwing words to each other. And mostly we forget the significant discussion that we must have. Of course, you see, when the former deputy president made these remarks, there are those on the opposite side, mostly those of us who are in the side of the government, and many people try to be on the defensive side and trying to you know, counteract what he had put, and we forgot the core subject. And education is so important, we can't afford to politicize it, because even as we move towards Singapore, we need to look at our education, fortify it, and ensure that each and every Kenyan has access to quality education. And therefore, the discussion right now should be, how can we make education accessible to each and every Kenyan? And we must be alive to a number of facts. Number one, you will remember, and I'm sure my colleagues here will remember, that at the foundation of this country, you remember the session paper number 10 of 1965, and the details it gave towards the development of this country. And therefore, you will understand why do we have a concentration of well-equipped, well-funded, schools with good history in a certain region of this country, right? So now the discussion should be, how are we going to develop the areas that have been left behind? But again, we should also understand the government, the constitution, and everything. We have pumped a lot of money to those areas whereby some schools leaves a lot to be desired. We need to understand, why is that happening? Are we having, as my deputy governor at Machakos?
Oh.
Yeah. As he has clearly said, accountability. Every leader should be accountable. If we have pumped this amount of money to northeastern, to eastern region, to Nyanza and western, why are we not having good equipped schools? What is the problem? We need to have an audit. Why is this? It's good that this discussion was brought by the former deputy president, regardless of his political persuasion. Let us have a very serious conversation. How can we make sure all the schools in this country are, at one level? Look at the results that have just been released for the KCSE. If I'm not wrong, the students who scored grade A were around 1,900 and something. 1,500 students are from the national schools around Nairobi, around Mount Kenya region, around this area. So it will be the desire of every parent to send his child to such schools, because you are assured of they will get good grades from those schools. So can we have a situation whereby even a school in Maralal, a school in Machakos, a school down in Mwingekitui, a school in the shores of Lake Victoria will be able to give students the desired grades? And I'm telling you, some of these things are quite unfortunate. A Form 4 student is going to sit for his KCSE. He has never seen a test tube. Imagine. And you are sitting for the same exam with another student in Mangu High School who has access to an aeroplane. Imagine. You have never seen a test tube. You are subjected to the same exam with another. So we need to bring the whole country to the same level. Nobody should, no Kenyan student, especially because we are raising our next generation. And this is the generation which is responsible for the next Kenya. So we need to give them what they deserve. Let us have a very honest conversation on the future of our education. Yeah.
There's something, DG, you said, and it's about following up on that accountability. How do we achieve that?
Simple. First and foremost, I need to ask myself, why am I a deputy governor in a county? Was I put there to enrich myself and my allies and my friends and everybody was associated with me? What is the agenda of the people? That's from self. I'm talking about being self and putting the people you lead first. Secondly, is I've seen we have serious investigative agencies in this country. Auditor General, oversight agencies like institutions like the National Parliament, even the county, the regional assemblies. We have serious institutions, but Sir Potter once said fish stinks fast from the head. And President Obama, when he visited us in his second term, there is something he said in Kasarani. He said Africa doesn't need strong men and women, but strong institutions. We need institutionalism and constitutionalism in Kenya. That is, I think, currently is lacking. Because it is these strong institutions that are going to ensure we are accountable individually as a leader. So there are so many ways of ensuring that leaders are accountable to the people they lead. And lastly, also as a country, I think we need a vibrant civil engagement. What I mean is from the very lower level, even at village level, they have their rights. There is what they expect from the county government. There is what they expect from the national government. There is what they expect from their elected leaders. I think we need to ensure our people are aware of this, and they demand, because it is their right. They keep the people they elected under check. Don't wait. Don't wait until you say you will punish somebody after 5 years. That time is gone, it's wasted. The time is now, not tomorrow. The time is now to demand for those things. So there are so many ways of ensuring we follow up on these resources, on the issue of leadership. We need to hold our leaders to account. It's very important. Then I will also add something else. And this is my last point on this, the issue of following up. I think from the national level and from the county level, whenever you are releasing any resources to go to any particular area to go and develop, for example, a school, an hospital, or a road, it is good if you stand and say, today we are releasing 1 million, we are releasing 100,000, we are releasing these billions to this particular project, so that the people who are going to benefit from this particular project, they know from the start, there is this project, we asked for it through a public engagement, public participation, and now it is coming, and the cost is this, starting this date and ending this date. That way, everybody will be fully aware and will be expecting to monitor the progress of this project. And at the end of the day, you will find the government is delivering, those elected are delivering, and also the citizens who are supposed to benefit from this particular project are also aware and are going to benefit. Because information is there, there is openness, there is accountability, there is transparency in all transactions. Yes.
Alulu, should we be talking about underdevelopment, especially in sectors like education, healthcare, infrastructure, economic empowerment, years after devolution?
And unfortunately, picking it from where the DG left, I have always spoken about civic education. Civic education ensures and helps even the lowest person at the cadre knows what they have, they knows their rights, they know who to go to if things are not working. As opposed to an environment where the Kenyan political class has made it look like the only person who knows it is a politician, and whatever they tell you is what is right. Whether it is right or wrong, you must believe them. You remember the famous saying, baba akiwa amesoma katiba, hata sisi tusiposoma iko sawa. You see? So you realize that we have a problem where Kenyan population has been denied access to information. Denied access to information. You know that there are countries like Uganda, for example, where at the village level, the government has made available information to people through civic educations, using the local leaders who are elected by the community themselves, and they know how to get it going and how to have it running. So civic education would help grant information to people at any level. Should we be even having a conversation about infrastructure development and all this at this particular time? Actually at 60. You know, from where I sit, a man who is 60 years old is going home for retire according to the current laws in Kenya.
Yes.
You retire at 60.
Yes.
If you, at the age of retire, you've been working perhaps for 35 years and you're going home for retire and you even don't have a small house for yourself, you know, you are a lost fellow. You are a confused human being. And so I think when we now bring Kenya to that, Kenya is at past 60 years old. We should not even be having this conversation of, you know, if you elect me, I shall construct this road. If you elect me, I shall upgrade this facility. These are things that are supposed to be institutionalized, that even without a politician, this development should be ongoing. That if tomorrow, you know, people should not be knowing or wondering who is this best politician who is doing this and that. We should be having institutions where, that for example, Machakos, we do not have to speak about their former Governor Mutua, the current Governor Wavinya Ndeti and all that. We should be having development rolling that people don't know whether it was Mutua or Ndeti or whoever is doing it. In Kenya, we should not be having conversation like when Kibaki was there, this was done. When Uhuru came, this did not happen. You know, we shouldn't have that. But because Kenya has institutionalized politics, that we eat, sleep, and walk politics every day. We have made things that are basic foundational rights of Kenyans, we've made it look like it's a political right. And that is why those who don't vote for the government would be feeling disadvantaged as opposed to those who are in government. That is why the president goes to Nyeri and has to reassure people in Nyeri that, you know what, I will not disadvantage you. I will not forget about you after 2027 election. It shouldn't be that. It should be
kind of a setting.
You know, we should not be having a situation where I have to convince you that if elected, I will not disadvantage you because the former deputy government president has been saying this or that. We should know that whether or not we vote for this government, it is my right as a Kenyan citizen to have a good road. I come from Hamisi constituency. My village, I go past Kapsabet, then I go home. Now, the road from Kapsabet going all through to Chavakali is in a very deplorable situation. And every time the government would come and tell us, you know, this coming 5 years, we shall construct this. Now, 5 years are almost done. The road is still in pathetic area. So you realize that we should stop the characters of politicizing everything and making it look like without politics, the country cannot move forward. We need to a little bit take a pause as a people, as a nation, and tell ourselves, let's put Kenya first and make sure that every Kenyan citizen has access to clean water, good health facilities, good road infrastructure, good schools, and all this, that I don't need to go to Nairobi to feel like I'm in Kenya. I can still feel a Kenyan in Moyale. I can still feel a Kenyan in Garissa. I can still feel a Kenyan from wherever I come from, and it won't be a problem me being a Luya or a Kalenjin or a Pokomo. I'm a Kenyan, and I have all the access to everything that I need in order for me to be able, in order for me to realize that every Kenyan, that I will convince my child that, you see, my son, you have access to every opportunity there is in this country simply because you're a Kenyan. You see, when President Trump says he's putting America first, people are getting mad. People are saying, you know, Trump is being this and that. But the man is just thinking about his people. When he said the USA should stop, money should come back to benefit Americans, everybody was all over shouting. But the reality is, the man is just thinking about his own people and giving advantage to where it is due. Kenya should rise beyond politics and now get our development agenda institutionalized and get it given to every deserving Kenyan.
Sibuor, now that we are talking about this, what do you think the priorities going forward should be, especially when it comes to the education sector?
Thank you. It is so unfortunate that after a decade into devolution, we are still having some issues to deal with, especially the counties under development, and a lot of money is being pumped to those areas. So it means something or someone is not doing the right thing. And it all points to accountability and goodwill. Because the people who deliver, they have that, what we call goodwill in them, so that they know and they can really channel and listen to the people because sometimes the people understand their problem better. So once there's that goodwill, there is that, at least something can be done. So the difference between areas that are not developed and areas that are developed is because of political goodwill. And it must start from the top. Because all these years, all these 60 years into independent, we have been having different leaders. And if you analyze how they performed differently, meaning others were having goodwill than others. So I believe Kenya is very rich, and we can maybe attain the Singapore that our leader is.
Singapore dream.
Yeah, Singapore dream. Yeah, we can do it. We can do it. What we need to do is goodwill, so that we block or we deal with these gaps, pilferages that are so much in other areas. And I like sometimes how he's working, because right now, if you analyze it well, a lot of misuses of funds is reduced, because somehow there's at least one point of collection in terms of revenue, so that you can at least monitor and disburse them accordingly. So what we need is just goodwill and accountability. We must strengthen the institution, as DJ has said, because these institutions, if they work well, without interferences, they can really deliver. The anti-corruption. The anti-corruption. Actually, they are not strengthened enough. I don't know what is happening, but if they are strengthened enough and they do their work independently, at least we can get a lot of changes. And again, we can also borrow from other countries, benchmark, you see? Because some countries are really doing well, like now they were talking about Singapore. What did they do? What happened to them? What changed them? So we can benchmark from them and bring, like now I was talking about the CBC, it is borrowed from other countries who are really progressing. So we must borrow from the best and come and implement. Kenya, we are good in terms of agriculture. Remember the coffee. We are really a brand there. People want Kenyan coffee. Right now, there are goals in several parts of the country. Those are revenue. And human resource, we are really good in that. So if we use whatever we have, we can really achieve the development that we are dreaming of. Yes.
When you talk about goodwill, Musumbi, and within the education sector, you know, some members of parliament and commentators actually do support sentiments by the former deputy president, and also saying that it calls for more schools, especially national schools, in historically uneven development. There's uneven development when you look at national schools in some areas. You said something about equity. Would that solve the problem?
Yeah, I want to believe so. And you see, maybe the best thing that happened to this country was the 2010 Constitution. The 2010 Constitution tried to institutionalize, as Alulu is saying, to institutionalize everything in this country, to make sure it's no longer about personalities. It is about the Kenyan agencies, the Kenyan institutions, and about the population. So the antidote to all these problems is ensuring that Kenya grows at the same level. And we will have to de-ethnicize our politics, because even look at the kind of conversation we are having in the current country right now, the current dispensation right now. And that's why the president yesterday at Nyeri, he had to defend himself, because the opposition, what they are trying to show is that he has neglected Mount Kenya. That is what the deputy president has continually, drilled to the people. That I was impeached because the president took advantage of us. We gave him votes, but he threw me away. And he is not developing us, and he has gone to look for some other friends who have never supported him. But you see, that is very poor politics. We need to, and I agree with the president when the president is saying the future of this country and the future of our leadership will no longer be about personalities or rhetoric. It is about your track record and the vision you have for the people. So matters education. We need to be very deliberate and try to depoliticize everything about education, because this is about the future of our people. And we should have I wish we would have a bipartisan approach to this thing, regardless of your political position. I want to see a wiper mandarin, like my deputy governor here, coming together with a no-DM leader, with a UDA leader, and discuss very critical issues about our education. But let us not now run to issues of blame game. You see, we are having a situation whereby we are blaming leaders from the northeastern, saying that they are building malls in Nairobi, yet they are not doing their what they are supposed to be doing in their constituencies. Or we normally fly to Lajera constituency, we do a function there, and I fly with them back to Nairobi. That should not be the discussion. Number one, let us agree on what is the way forward. Number two, if these guys have mismanaged their NGCDF, if they have managed their devolution funds, can they be brought to book? Because what we are having is just hearsays and talks. Let us have EACC working. Let us understand, why is Lajera constituency, for example, or the Dab constituency, it receives this amount of money, but we are not seeing whatever is happening there. Can we now have a conversation? Can we see the leader being put to task? Why is this not happening? But when we now politicize the whole thing and having press conferences, I saw leaders from Northeastern having a press conference trying to respond to what Rigathi Gachagua had said. That is not what we need. We need solutions. We need people to sit down in a very sober manner and discuss about the future of our education.
Indeed. In the interest of time, I'll give you each 30 seconds to give your closing remarks, and I'll start with you, Sibuor.
Thank you, Mike. What I have to say is that Rigathi Gachagua was right to mention that, but now the emotion could bring what we call the incitement, which is not good.
Yes.
So when we are talking about matters education, we are supposed to have a candid discussion, because it entails our future, because the generation depend on the education.
Indeed.
And not only education, a lot of things must be put in place, especially health. So structures must be in place, and things must work.
All right, things must work.
Things must work.
Alulu.
I have a very serious concerns about how our education is treated. For example, looking at the headlines on Daily Nation, why we won't be joining grade 10. And it is speaking about the lack of funds and resources. Very soon, you are going to see some bursary tokens coming out, and a few things, scholarships from a few quarters, which does not reach out to majority of people or children that require it. I think it is good we go back again to the conversation where could we scrub the bursaries and the funds that are coming from different places and have a national education fund where children don't need to pay school fees. They should be called to these schools and go study. He alluded to something that is very funny out there. When you go to school, there is what we call a fee structure. You are told you pay 53,000, but then something is hidden. You are told there is where I went. They say there is a PTA fund for 20,000. There is another dome. We need to build another dome, 30,000. Before you realize these national schools, children are paying up to 100,000, but on paper it is 53,000. Yeah. So there is no fairness in all this. So even if a child performed very well from somewhere in Malakisi and they are called to a national school in Nairobi, and the parent is supposed to pay 100,000 per year, you know, even if you are selling land, you will sell even your kidneys. So it is not fair. The education in Kenya should be reorganized and re-strategized, and stop these things of blackmailing our children with bursaries and I don't know, some tokenism. We should have a good national education fund. Indeed. That will help the education sector in Kenya.
Indeed. DG?
Let's do the right thing. Sometimes it is never good to blame. Let me go for solutions. The road to Singapore or better. I think Kenya is better. It should be better than Singapore, in my understanding. Cannot be realized in the absence of education. Ensure we have quality education in Kenya, which is free from the pre-unit all the way to basic at the university level. Should be free. I've seen the ruling people, the ruling group. You don't know, nowadays you don't know who is who, because they started as a KK. I don't know. Now they are, I don't know, bread-based something. You can't understand what it is. So they need to please put education at the center of everything. This is serious. Number two, we cannot go around slaughtering the youths and then we start again tokenism. We need again to realize the dream of institutionalism as enshrined in 2010 Constitution. I wish next time, Migwi, and on a serious note, not necessarily referring to the current president or the current crop of governors or deputy governors. You call serious people here who will tabulate to Kenyans how is it to move a president, national president, from point A to B, the cost implication. Okay. Or even a governor moving to go and launch a project. The cost, that cost attached to that alone. Yes. So in this case, we need, in the point I'm bringing of institutionalism, we used to have youth fund, channel those billions there, channel that World Bank money through youth fund and let it be done at world level so that it is even across the country. Indeed. Fairness, equitability of our resources. Indeed. Thank you.
Musumbi, finally.
Yeah, thank you. So my closing remarks are we need to get serious. We need to shun any form of mediocrity. We can no longer afford now to experiment with the life of Kenyans. And as Alulu said, that at 60 years we should be thinking of very other issues, not the very basics. So we have now to play catch up. That is why we have to do what we call accelerated but deliberate development. Okay. And on matters education, we should avoid and shun any form of politics on matters education and ensure that our children get affordable and quality education.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And last point, 2 seconds. This country invested a lot in technical training in institutions across the republic. We need to equip them. We need to ensure they are functioning, because some of them are where they were constructed are not functional. Yes. And I remember the policy of the former government was anybody going to those institutions was to be sponsored 100% free. So we need to have them function and ensure they are running. Actually, the over 50% of those students who are not proceeding to universities can go through those institutions, and you ensure, and there is a lot of demand worldwide about the products of our technical training institutes.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time to come and talk on matters that regard education right here on Good Morning Kenya. That is Innocent Musumbi, who is a political analyst, and also His Excellency Francis Mwangangi, who is the Deputy Governor of Machakos County, Dr. Billy J. Omeno Sibuor, who is a political analyst, and David Alulu, economist and political analyst. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time. This is where this conversation ends. My name is Mike. Migwi. Good Morning Kenya continues shortly. Stay with us.